Folks, how are you doing? So I got some good responses from that previous cover breakdown video of the Contra Operation Galuga cover. And I wanted to do something similar, but for a cover that I've already done in the past. And this time I chose the Castlevania Bloody Tears covers. So we're going to go over what it is I did, how I went about it, and how I went to arrange and compose it. But before that, this video is sponsored by PCBWay. What's going on? What's going on?
Execute Route 66.
You're not, I'm not, it's not it.
They offer PCB manufacturing and part assembly, of course, but they also offer a number of other services like CNC machining, metal sheet fabrication, 3D printing, and even injection molding. Pretty much anything you need for all your projects. Go to PCBWay.com, upload your project files, and get an instant quote.
And thank you to them for sponsoring this video. I'm a Space Lord. That's not what it's called. Anyway, so this is my timeline here. I have the original piece, which is a great tune, very iconic of the NES and Castlevania in general, Bloody Tears. Let's listen to it. And it repeats. It's a very short piece, but very, very strong, and there's a lot happening in there. My first cover was just a straight version of this, like 1-to-1 reproduction, and it was okay at the time. But for an updated cover, I wanted to do something a bit more original and interesting. One of the challenges with this tune in particular is that it's very easy to sort of go straight into a high octane, very drum-driven type of cover. There's a lot of metal covers done of this tune for that particular reason. But for this one, I wanted to shy away from that and work on an intro for the cover. Because when you put it back in context, the goal was to actually make the player feel uneasy and unsafe and gloomy. It just had that atmosphere to it. Essentially, you were stepping away from the safety of the town or the village or the city you were in into the wilderness. So I wanted to sort of convey that with an intro that was actually slower than the tune. So what I did, well, let's listen to the intro very, very quickly. Let's pause here for a minute. So here I'm just using a very few things, really. It's mostly drone and texture. So I have here this Russian synthesizer. It's the same one I use all the time. This is, I've done a video on it, but essentially, this is the unprocessed sound. And I just added some chorus, reverb. I also use the accordion here just to complement the synthesizer. Just a chorus on this one. And then on top of that, I have the mandolin just playing single strings of one chord. I'm just providing a bit of a sort of melodic and harmonic background. There's a few more elements. There's a very, very long, drawn out and highly reverbed flute. Just to add to the spookiness of the intro. So there's some textural elements. This one is probably the the most interesting. And you can see it's highly processed. What this is essentially, I think, is it the banjo or the bouzouki I'm using? Or a guitar? I can't remember. But I just bow, a violin bow, and on a single string. Rather unpleasant as is. It doesn't need to actually be particularly well done. In this case, I just cleaned it up slightly with isotope, just added a ton of reverb. Right away, it sounds better. Cut out a lot of the high frequencies so we don't get that kind of screechy sound. Filter delay. So a filter delay is essentially a delay that will be applied differently whether you're applying on the mids, on lows, and the highs. The chorus, EQ, and we get that deliciously spooky drone. There's also some chimes right at the beginning. In fact, it's the first thing you hear. Now, these aren't exactly chimes. I've talked about these before. They are just various bells that I collect whenever I see bells or stuff that can make those sounds. I grab them. There's one center one hard right, one hard left, and together to just have that unique sound. I love these. I use them all the time in pretty much every cover. Every time you hear that sound, it's those bells. And also a wood block, just one note. In this case, it's reversed. And these are the blocks in questions. They are actually, I made them myself from, I think, blackthorn that is growing in the garden, or was. And they have a lovely, lovely sound. I have a selection of them for different notes. And I have a wood turning machine that I made them with. So the idea here is to have sounds that you can't quite identify and create a sort of sense of unease. You're not sure what you're hearing, where you are, and what's happening. So this is, once again, the intro. So here what I do is I essentially use the same notes that would be used then in the normal intro of the actual tune. This is the same notes that are used here. It's just to have something that will recall the actual intro and actually bring you in sort of familiar territory with the tune very slowly and introduce that sort of theme. And I just play it for a little while and then slowly speed up the tempo. Now we're playing it with the synthesizer. So because that intro lasts for about a minute, you really want to grab the attention of the listener. So this is why I have all those sounds initially, start very slow, and then introduce a variation of the intro motive. This piece, fade it out slowly, and then have the tempo slowly speed up as you're getting towards the actual tune. And here starts the actual tune. So here the tune starts properly, and instead of having that sort of, it's not, is it an arpeggio? I can't remember what it's called. But instead of having it being played by the mandolin like in the intro, I have it played on the synth. It's actually an organ. It's an electric organ. And it suits the Castlevania sound so well, I think. And I have it complemented by an accordion drone. There's a chorus on that, but essentially this one is the same as this one. Actually, this version is a separate recording, and I lowered it by an octave and heavily processed it. So let's just added a flanger, very slow flanger, a delay, compressor, heavy EQ, and some distortion. And just to add a little bit more grit and aggressiveness in my in my bass sound. Now this section comes from the original tune, which is normally being played on the bass. So it's that doo 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 doo, and instead of having it, well, it is played on the bass. But I also have it played on the flute because I want it to sound like a ghost, sort of wailing in the background, either crying or complaining or warning you. And together, I think it works really well. So the bouzouki was another interesting one. So I have just a plain chords being played on the bouzouki. They're actually a complement to the same chords being played properly with an actual rhythm. So they just emphasize those chord changes. And I have this bouzouki just doing that one note. And it's really to complement that section. All together. So here, the main melody is done on the mandolin. And the banjo is just doing the, what is this, harmony, counter melody. And here I have the banjo split in two because I process them differently, because the low end need a different EQ than the high end. So this is the EQ here, and this is the EQ here for the low end. And I think I delay them slightly different as well. Yeah. So I actually just did a recording and then split the recording into two tracks. You'll also notice that I haven't started the drums yet. There is percussive elements in there, but the drums the snares are here and they don't start until much later. What I have instead is a kick and claps coming at some point here. Big break, a few extra beats here, but the snares come in just before the break, just to introduce the snares. So here I wanted to avoid the typical approach that is done on Bloody Tears, is to have the cover or the tune in general driven by the drums and by the percussive elements. So I wanted it to breathe a little bit on its own before introducing the full drums. But here I just do a small break. And this is done by, I can't remember now. This is done by, just the accordion, actually. There's a little bit of flute. And here we have the bouzouki is playing chords. And what I do is I reversed these chords. And it just creates that kind of swelling sound. In addition to that, I have these drums here. And these are just standard drums that I found at the secondhand shops and flea markets and stuff like that. And this sample here, which is my now my go-to crash cymbal, which is a giant sheet of metal that's hanging in one of my sheds. Absolutely love. So altogether, that breaking the tune sounds like this. So here's the full tune. I've introduced the drums now. We're flying. We're in autopilot until this section where the tune resolves. Because we've had this full ensemble for so long in the tune, we're at the 1.46 minute mark. I want to tone it down and just have the instrument that we haven't really heard on its own. It was used as the counter melody or harmony, whatever it is. And now it's playing the intro arpeggios. I make this last twice as long. So normally it should last for about this long. And here I just double it and build up on it. Again, here is to first create tension, catch people slightly off guard by changing their expectations. When the tune is supposed to start again, that section continues and keeps building up. So altogether, it sounds like this. Let's stop here because there's quite a bit to unpack. So as you build up, I also bring back that bouzouki sound. Chords are coming in slowly. And also a new kick is starting. So another thing I want to mention is the hi-hats. I love building up my hi-hats, and here with 4 layers of it. So this one is... For the first one, I use this stick here, which is but essentially chopsticks put together with some heat shrink. And this is one of the beater I normally use on the Baron. And I'm not sure what I'm using it on. Maybe the banjo or maybe my hand. The second layer is this guy here. And this is just an old drum brush, and it's longer. Normally it's been cut in bits. I think I use it on the edge of the banjo, probably here or something like that. I have the tambourine, and I have those kind of sweepy sounds, which is my hand just going very quickly on the skin of the banjo. So together they just create this lovely, lovely hi-hat section. And what I like is instead of having a static hi-hat, it just adds a little bit more movement. Anyway, folks, this is some of the work that went into making this cover. As you can see, there's quite a lot to it. I don't show the parts that I didn't use or that didn't make it or that didn't work. There's probably twice as much work done on this that what I'm showing you here. So if you want to see the cover, it's actually on the channel already. It's been uploaded a few months back. This is sort of a retrospective and breakdown of an old cover. Let me know in the comment if there's any cover you'd like me to do this for. One of the previous covers that I did, not a new one. And my camera just died before I could finish the video, but I wanted to say if you want to support the channel, there's a Patreon page and YouTube memberships. As you can see, these take a lot of time and effort, and I'm only showing you the stuff that made it to the final cut. There's a lot that didn't. There's a lot of things that I tried that didn't work. There's probably twice as much work that go into these covers. So I'd very much appreciate your support. If you can't, if you don't want to, it's fine too. The covers are still on the channel. There's no change with that. Anyway, let me know in the comments if there's another cover you want me to do a breakdown on. And thank you for watching. and I'll see you next time.